Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today is going to be all about education and the federal laws that help shape the framework for educating our loved ones with special needs. So, I'm sure we're all aware of special education in the school systems, right? But did you know that infants and toddlers, non school age children, also have access to special needs resources via the school system? I did not know this. And as a result, my son did not get the education and help that he needed until he was 4 years old. Guys, we don't know what we don't know. But after I made one phone call, he did get the help that he needed and he was able to attend a school specifically for kids with special needs. So today we're going to take a look at the United States Department of Education's website. And in particular, we're going to take a look at the Individuals with Disabilities webpage, which is loaded with tons of information. And not only will I show you the laws, but I'll show you how to get a report on how your state is doing in terms of providing special needs education. Then we'll discuss the first place I think you should look to find resources in your community. Every state, every city, your community. And of course, guys, the links will be in the description box. So, guys, keep watching. I'll see you in the video. So, guys, we are at the website and we are at the U.S. Department of Education's website. And more specifically, we are on their page of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So, this is the law, guys, that provides that all children have to be educated. All children with disabilities or with a handicap have to be educated. So let's read about a history of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Congress enacted the Education for All Handicapped Children Act, also known as EHA, in 1975 to support states and localities in protecting the rights of, meeting the individual needs of, and improving the results for infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities and their families. This landmark law's name changed to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, or IDEA, in a 1990 reauthorization. The law was last reauthorized in 2004, and the department has periodically issued new or revised regulations to address the implementation and interpretation of the IDEA. Before EHA, many children were denied access to education and opportunities to learn. In 1970, U.S. schools educated only 1 in 5 children with disabilities, and many states had laws excluding certain students, including children who were deaf, blind, emotionally disturbed, or had an intellectual disability. Since the passage of EHA in 1975, significant progress has been made toward meeting major national goals for developing and implementing effective programs and services for early intervention, special education, and related services. The U.S. has progressed from excluding nearly 1.8 million children with disabilities from public schools prior to EHA implementation to providing more than 7.5 million children with disabilities with special education and related services to meet their individual needs in the 2020-2021 school year. So it never ceases to amaze me how we as a nation, our education is just a work in progress. And that's a nice word. Okay, guys. So That is the law. This is the law, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This is the act that mandates that children with intellectual disabilities, children with handicaps, they have to be educated in the school. And as we just read, it was millions of children who were excluded from education prior to this law. But now, since the law has been enacted, millions of children have access to education. And as we also read, the law is constantly being revised. So that was in 1975. In 1985, the Handicapped Children Protection Act was passed. And this act amends the Education of the Handicap Act to authorize the award of reasonable attorney's fees, expenses, and costs to the parents or guardian of a handicapped child or youth who is the prevailing party in a civil suit under such act to protect the child's right to a free, appropriate public education. All right. It amends the Education Act to provide public access to hearing decisions and an informal complaint resolution procedure, provides that any decision regarding participation in an informal complaint resolution meeting with the state or local educational agency or intermediate educational unit shall not affect the availability or provision of any rights of the parents or guardian of the handicapped child under procedural safeguards provisions of such act. Now, guys, these are all legal terms, okay? So of course I'm not an attorney, but in my layman's term, this means that you can fight legally for your child to have an education. So as I stated on, as you see, this website is very robust, but you can go through it and you will see that there is a process called an IEP, which is an individualized education plan. That means that you, as a parent, you can decide how you want your what your child's education to look like, right? In conjunction with the teachers. And if you don't think that it's as it should be, then there are legal ramifications, which is what this law is about. And so let's take a look at this. So, assistive technology. Each public agency must ensure that assistive technology devices or assistive technology services, or both, as those terms are defined in 300.5 and 300.6 respectively, are made available to a child with a disability if required as part of the child's special education under 300.39, related services under 300.34, or supplementary aids and services under 300.42 and 300.114. On a case by case basis, the use of school purchased assistive technology devices in a child's home or in other settings is required if the child's IEP team determines that the child needs access to those devices in order to receive FAPE. And FAPE means free, appropriate public education. Wow. All right, guys. So that means that if the IEP team determines that other devices are needed to assist your child, like technology, like computers or maybe wheelchairs, whatever is needed to assist your child has a right to that. So let's take another look at this Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. So there are two parts to it, okay? So let's see. The IDEA governs how state and public agencies provide early intervention, special education, and related services to more than 7.5 million as the school year 2020-2021. Eligible infants, toddlers, children, and youth with disabilities. Infants and toddlers birth through age 2 with disabilities and their families receive early intervention services under IDEA Part C. Children and youth ages 3 through 21 receive special education and related services under IDEA Part B. Additionally, the IDEA authorizes formula grants to states to support special education and related services in early intervention, and discretionary grants to state educational agencies, institutions of higher education, and other nonprofit organizations to support research, demonstrations, technical assistance, and dissemination, technology development, personal preparation and development, and parent training and information centers. So, guys, oh my God, there is so much to this act. This website, as I keep saying, is very robust. We're not going to go through the whole website because we will be here for 2 hours and I'm sure you guys would be asleep. But please be sure and check out the different tabs. So as such as law and policy, the different reports, the grants and funding, the different resources for parents and families, for educators. Oh my gosh, guys, it's just so much. You can see how to contact people in your state. And of course, there's the news and media. So stay tuned, and we're going to look at the reports state by state. So stay tuned. All right, guys. So we are on the reports tab. So we're right here under reports and we're on the state performance plan annual performance reports. So what this tab is saying that states have to meet criteria as established by the United States Department of Education. So let's read it. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act requires each state to develop a state performance plan annual performance report that evaluates the state's efforts to implement the requirements and purpose of the IDEA and describes how the state will improve its implementation. The SPP/APR includes indicators that measure child and family outcome and other indicators that measure compliance with the requirements of the IDEA. A state is required to submit a state performance plan at least every 6 years. Each year, states must report against the targets in its SPP in an annual performance report. The Office of Special Education Programs uses information from the SPP/APR, information obtained through monitoring visits, and other public information to annually determine if the state meets requirements and purposes of the IDEA, needs assistance in implementing the requirements of Part B or Part C of the IDEA, needs intervention in implementing the requirements of Part B or Part C of the IDEA, and needs substantial intervention in implementing the requirements of Part B or Part C of the IDEA. So, guys, the United States government is very involved in the education of our children as it applies to special needs education. And so let's take a look at the IDE by state. This is what I found to be very interesting. So we can click on any state, and we just read that the states have to submit a plan about how they are going to implement the different components of the act, right? And so um, let's just take a look at what that looks like. So we're going to look at New York. So if you take a look at my screen, This is the submission that New York submitted. Okay. And then this is the government's response to what they submitted, which I found to be very interesting. So let's take a look at this. So, as you can see, the United States Department of Education, Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services, they wrote to the commissioner, New York State Education Department. And we're going to scroll down. Um, the department has determined that New York needs assistance in implementing the requirements of Part B of the IDEA. And it goes on to mention the different components and things like that. Guys, this is a 4-page letter, so of course we're not going to read it. So we're going to go back and let's look at Part C to see what they said. So again, that is the submission submitted by the state, and this is the federal government's response. So the department has determined that New York meets the requirements and purposes of Part C of the IDEA. This determination is based on the totality of the state's data and information. So, and so on and so forth. So, you can see right in the first paragraph whether your state will meet the um, the requirements of the Individuals Disability Education Act or they don't. Okay, so for instance, let's look at another state and then let's look at, so that was New York. Let's look at Oklahoma. Okay, so again, that's the submission submitted by Oklahoma, and this is the response to Part B. So the department has determined that Oklahoma meets the requirements and purposes of Part B of the IDEA. All right, Oklahoma. So let's see if they meet Part C. Okay. Let's see. The department has determined that Oklahoma meets the requirements and purposes of Part C of the IDEA. All right, guys. So, and like I said, this is a 4-page letter. It is very in depth. Um, and so, just to let you know, so in the letter, it also, the state, of course, their personnel is able to log on to this website using their information to get further information about the reports. So, let's do one more. Let's do my state of Alabama. Come on, Alabama. Let's see what you got. So here's part B. Here's the response to the submission. And this is to Honorable Eric G. Mackey. The department has determined that Alabama needs assistance in implementing the requirements of Part B of the IDEA. So Alabama needs help with Part B. Let's see what they say about Part C. Here's the response to Honorable, oh, this is Jane Elizabeth Shaw. She's commissioned on Alabama Department of Rehabilitation Services. Let's see. The department has determined that Alabama needs assistance in meeting the requirements of Part C of the IDEA. All right, so Alabama needs help with Part B and Part C. All right, guys. So that is how you can very quickly find out how your state is performing. Okay. And look, here are the state contacts, and this will be the last link that we will go over on this website. So just check out it lists all the states, and there's the direct number, and then there's also Part B and Part C customer service numbers for every state, guys. Okay? All right. So let's check out how you can find links locally in your school district. Stay tuned. All right, guys. So remember earlier in the video when we said that New York and Oklahoma They passed their reports with flying colors. Alabama needed a little bit more help, so we're going to take a look at their school systems special needs education pages. Okay, so here's special education in New York, and here it is. Whatever we learned about the laws, it's repeating the same information. All students with disabilities who require special education services have individualized education programs, IEPs. The IEP contains information about your child's interests, strengths, needs, goals, and educational program. It is a legal document that describes how the DOE will provide your child a free and appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment. And here, excuse me, here it is, preschool to age 21. And guys, they have a very robust website about where do students with IEP attend schools, the continuation of services, general education. What I found really unique about you New York's is they have day and residential placement. So day and residential programs are available in New York State approved non-public schools and New York State supported schools. Placement in these schools is considered for students with intensive educational needs that cannot be met in public school programs. So, this is just an opportunity for nonprofits to come in and help educate the children. All right, so let's take a look at Oklahoma's Department of Education. Um, so here it is, guys. It's school age part B. Is family resource, additional resources. But let's see what they say. Ugh, sorry, guys, my screen. Okay, OSDE Special Education Services, which is Oklahoma State Department of Education, is committed to providing guidance and support to promote excellence in education from infancy to adulthood for children with disabilities as outlined in the Individuals with Disabilities Education Improvement Act, or IDEA. So, guys, that is the state. So, I did not do a county in Oklahoma, but that's how you can actually find um, services in Oklahoma or any other state. You just put in the school district. So for Alabama, I did do the county school district. So this is Jefferson County Schools, and remember Jefferson County needed a little bit more help of what Alabama did actually. So remember how schools are broken down. Schools are broken down, of course, by state, and then they're broken down by counties and cities. So now we're looking at Jefferson County. Um, the Jefferson County Board of Education has child fine procedures that ensure that all children within its jurisdiction ages birth to 21, regardless of the severity of their disability, and who need special education and related services are identified, located, and evaluated. These child fine procedures also apply to children who attend private schools within the Jefferson County Board of Education district, highly mobile children with disabilities, such as migrant and homeless children, or children who are wards of the state, and children who are suspected of having a disability and are in need of special education, even though they are advancing from grade to grade. So, if you will remember, when we were looking at Alabama earlier, the state as a whole needed a little help. But I've actually looked at Jefferson County. This is a school district in Alabama. So that's how you look for resources, guys. You just literally go to your school district's Board of Education, you contact them, and that's how you can find resources with one phone call. All right, so stay tuned. I'm going to give you my final thoughts. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Now you know that there are federal laws that mandate that school district have to provide resources for your infant, your toddler, for your child to age 21 years of age. I did not know this. And as a result, like I stated before, my son didn't get help until he was like 4 years old. I want to read you a letter from one of the daycares. Well, my son actually, let me back up. My son was kicked out of four daycares. Um, I would tell the staff members that he had special needs, and they and they would say, "Oh yeah, just bring him," and then they would kick him out because the staff was not trained to take care of my son. So it reads, Miss Ruff, we are still having a difficult time with Bryant. The teachers are having to stay right with him. This is taking away time from other children. Our kindergarten program is the type of program where the children need to be sitting down at a table for about 30 to 45 minutes to do their work and to listen to their teacher go over their work. Miss Karina is spending more time than she should keeping Brian from throwing things and keeping him from taking the other children's papers and crayons. He is constantly screaming out for no reason, and this is very disruptive to the class. He was throwing blocks this morning and almost hit another child. We feel that Miss Karina is having to spend too much time with just Bryant and not able to spend enough time with the entire class. Our policy is that if we feel that a child cannot adjust, that a 2 week notice will be given. We are giving a 2 week notice as of November 13th, 2000. November 22nd, 2000 will be Brod's last day. We are closed Thursday and Friday for Thanksgiving. I'm sorry things did not work out. I know you told me that he has to be in a daycare located in Jefferson County. There is a daycare located on Old Springville Road, Miss Margaret's, that has a relaxed program, and it may suit Bryant's needs better than we can. It is a Jefferson County daycare, and the bus can pull right up to the door to pick him up or let him off. Sherry Latham, November 13th, 2000. And so by this time, I Brian had been kicked out of a daycare, and I, made the phone call to Jefferson County. They told me about a school called Burkett, but they had to pick Brian up from another school. So that's why he had to be at a Jefferson County school. So again, I told them he had special needs. They said, yeah, bring him. And then they couldn't handle him. So, and the thing that was the most traumatizing me, for me, one of them, in addition to him being kicked out of schools, was that I wasn't making enough money to keep paying the registration fee plus daycare fees. It was a mess. But had I just known that my son could have been at that school from a very early age, he could have received the help so much sooner. It wasn't from lack of trying, guys. He was tested for everything with the medical doctors, but his pediatricians just did not understand the autism spectrum. So anyway, that's why I wanted to make this video so that you can know just with one phone call, if you have a child with special needs from infants to 21 years of age, just make one phone call to your local board of education, to your school district's board of education. One phone call. Ask for look for the special needs department, and you have access to resources for your special needs child. All right. So that's it for today, guys. Much love, much peace. I'll see you in the next video.